My name is Michael Chen. I'm a Managing Director and Head of Global Capital Markets for Madison International Realty. One of the things I think is maybe more controversial items on retail is that I don't believe it's a dead sector. It's been quasi-uninvestable the last 10 years, and I think we're actually hitting an inflection point today. It has been a slow slog in terms of a repricing dynamic, and that has actually created what we think is probably a healthy kind of balance today. When it comes to the US, on a per capita basis, we're still about 3 to 5 times over-retailed per capita compared to other markets like Europe or Asia. That has always been an issue in terms of retail. I do think that there's a place for retail in any portfolio, especially if you like cash on cash. 3 to 5 years, there's no new supply coming online. It's 30 basis points of total supply of new construction. One of the things that we saw with multifamily was we saw this wave of supply. With retail, you have the inverse situation, where effectively there is no new supply, and that has created effectively demand, and that demand translates into landlords being able to push rental rates. And that for us as a landlord is very important. 5 years ago, the view was that retail was dead and that no one was ever going to buy anything in person. I think that the truth of the matter, as it always is in life, is maybe a little bit in between in terms of what's going on. E-commerce sales peaked during the COVID crisis to roughly about 17% of total retail sales. Today, it's about 15.5%. So if you think about what that trend is in the long term on a 5-year basis, the federal government thinks it's going to be about 19% peaking at that level. So we're talking about, roughly 25% of the total market in terms of retail sales. That's actually not as dire as people thought it was 5 years ago. Between what happened during COVID and the health of retailers today, we've had a culling of non-performing retailers. So between that and the lack of new supply has created demand for actually space in person. You hear there's a term called omni-channel, which is actually very important in terms of any retailer right now, where they want to create hubs where you can buy in-person goods as well as returned goods in terms of stuff that you've had delivered. This has become a critical part of any retailer strategy today, and it has been driving some of that retail performance that we mentioned earlier. 5 of the top 10 markets of net absorption are in Texas. When it comes to Miami, I think very similar demographics in terms of a big retail push. The working from home situation has created a dynamic where suburban retail is actually doing better than urban. That's something I think that is definitely a function of working from home, people needing places to get coffee, maybe even having lunches. All that creates, I think, a great dynamic in terms of where you go. But fundamental real estate, follow where the people are and go where there's not a lot of supply, and generally as a landlord, you can do okay.